This is a gift to you, America, the Constitution of the United States, by memory. Article 2. The executive power should be vested in the President of the United States. He shall hold this office during a term of 4 years, and together with the Vice President chosen for the same term, be elected as follows. Every state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature therein may direct a number of electors equal to the whole number of senators and representatives which the state may be entitled in the Congress. But no senator or representative or person holding any office of trust or profit under the United States should be appointed an elector. The electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for 2 persons, of whom one at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves. And they shall make a list of the persons voted for and of the number of votes for each, which list they shall sign and certify and transmit sealed to the seat of the government of the United States, directed to the President of the Senate. The President of the Senate shall, and the President of the Senate and House of Representatives, open all the certificates, and the vote should then be counted. The person having the greatest number of votes should be the President, if such number be majority of whole number of electors appointed. And if there be more than one person who has such a majority and have an equal number of votes, the House of Representatives shall choose immediately by ballot one of them for President. And if no person have majority, then from the 5 highest numbers on the list, the said House shall in like manner choose the President. But in choosing the President, the vote shall be taken by states, the representation of each state having 1 vote. A quorum for this purpose should consist of a member or members of 2/3 of the states, and the majority of all the states should be necessary to a choice. But in every case, after the choice of the President, the person having the greatest number of votes of the electors should be the Vice President. But if there should remain 2 or more who have equal votes, the Senate shall choose from them by ballot the Vice President. The Congress should determine the times of choosing the electors and the day on which they shall give their votes, which they should be the same throughout the United States. No person, except a natural-born citizen or a citizen of the United States, at the time of the adoption of this Constitution, shall be eligible to the office of the President. Neither shall any person be eligible to that office who should not have attained to the age of 35 years and been 14 years a resident within the United States. In case of the removal of the President from office, or of his death or resignation, or inability to discharge the powers and duties of the said office, the same shall devolve on the Vice President. And Congress may by law provide for the case of the removal, death, resignation, or inability, both of the President and Vice President, declaring what officer shall then act as President, and such office shall act accordingly until the disability be removed and a President should be elected. The President shall, at stated times, receive for his services a compensation which shall not be increased nor diminished during the period for which he shall be elected, and he shall not receive within that period any other emolument from the United States or any of them. Before he enter on the execution of his office, he shall take the following oath or affirmation. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the office of the President of the United States and will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, so help me God. Section 2. The President should be Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy of the United States and of the militia of the several states, and called into actual service of the United States. He may require the opinion in writing of the principal officer in each of the executive departments upon any subject relating to the duties of the respective offices. He shall have power to grant reprieves and pardons for offenses against the United States, except in cases of impeachment. The President shall have power by and with advice and consent of the Senate to make treaties, provided 2/3 of the senators present concur, and he shall nominate and by and with advice and consent of the Senate appoint ambassadors, other public ministers and councils, justices of the Supreme Court, and all other officers of the United States, whose appointments are not here and otherwise provided for, and which should be established by law. Congress may by law vest the appointment of such inferior officers as they think proper, in the President alone, in the courts of law, or in the heads of departments. The President shall have power to fill up all vacancies that may happen during the recess of the Senate by granting commissions which expire at the end of their next session. He may from time to time give to the Congress information of the State of the Union and recommend to their consideration such measures as he should judge necessary and expedient. He may, on extraordinary occasions, convene both houses or either of them, and in case a disagreement between them, he may convene them such times as he should think proper. He should receive ambassadors and other public ministers. He shall take care that the laws be faithfully executed and shall commission all the officers of the United States. The President, Vice President, and all civil officers of the United States should be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors. Article 3. The judicial power of the United States should be vested in one Supreme Court, and in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. The judges, both of the Supreme and inferior courts, shall hold their offices during good behavior, and shall, at stated times, receive for their services a compensation which shall not be diminished during their continuance in office. The judicial power of the United States shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States, and treaties made or which shall be made under their authority, to all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers and councils, to all cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction, to controversies to which the United States should be a party, to controversies between two or more states, between a state and citizens of another state, between citizens of different states, between citizens of the same state claiming lands under grants of different states, and between a state and the citizens thereof, or foreign state citizens or subjects. In all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers and councils, and those in which the state should be a party, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction. In all the other cases before mentioned, the Supreme Court shall have appellate jurisdiction, both as to law and fact, with such exceptions and under such regulations as the Congress shall make. The trial of all crimes, except in cases of impeachment, should be by jury, and such trials should be held in the state when the said crime shall be committed, or not committed within any state. The trial should be held at such place or places as the Congress may by law have directed. Treason against the United States should consist only in levying war against them or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. No person should be convicted of treason unless on the testimony of two witnesses to the same overt act or on confession in open court. The Congress shall have power to declare the punishment of treason, but no attainder of treason shall work corruption of blood or forfeiture except during the life of the person attainted. Article 4. Full faith and credit shall be given in each state to the public acts, records, and judicial proceedings of every other state. And Congress may, by general laws, prescribe the manner in which such acts, records, and proceedings should be proved and the effects thereof. The citizens of each state should be entitled to all privileges and immunities as citizens in the several states. A person charged in any state with treason, felony, or other crime, who should flee from justice and be found in another state, shall, on demand of the executive authority of state in which he fled, be delivered up to the state having jurisdiction of the crime. No person held to service or labor in one state under the laws thereof, escaping into another, shall, in consequence of any law or regulation therein, be discharged from such service or labor, but should be delivered up on claim to the party to whom such service or labor may be due. New states may be admitted by the Congress into this Union, but no new state should be formed or erected within the jurisdiction of any other state, nor state be formed by the junction of two or more states or parts of states without consent of the legislatures of the states concerned, as well as of the Congress. The Congress shall have power to dispose of and make all needful rules and regulations respecting territory or other property belonging to the United States. But nothing in this Constitution shall be so construed as to prejudice any claims of the United States or of any particular state. The United States shall guarantee to every state in this Union a republican form of government, and shall protect each one of them against invasion, and on application of the legislature or the executive, when the legislature cannot be convened, against domestic violence. Article 5. The Congress, whenever 2/3 of both houses should deem it necessary, shall propose amendments to this Constitution, or on application of the legislature of 2/3 of the several states, call a convention for proposing amendments, which in either case should be valid to all intents and purposes as part of this Constitution, when ratified by the legislatures of 3/4 of the several states, or by convention in 3/4 thereof, as the one or other mode of ratification may be proposed by the Congress. Provided that no amendment which shall be made prior to the year 1800 shall any manner affect the first clauses of the 9th section of the first article, and that no state without its consent shall be deprived of its equal suffrage in the Senate. Article 6. All debts contracted and engagements entered into before the adoption of this Constitution should be valid against the United States under this Constitution as under the Confederation. This Constitution and the laws of the United States which should be made in pursuance thereof, and treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States, should be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state should be bound thereby. Anything in this Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. The senators and representatives before mentioned, and the members of the several state legislatures and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and of the several states, should be bound by oath and affirmation to support this Constitution. But no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. Article 7. The ratification of the Conventions of 9 states should be sufficient for the establishment of this Constitution between the states so ratifying the same. Done in convention by the unanimous consent of the state's president, the 17th day of September in the year of our Lord 1787, and of the independence of the United States of America, the 12th in witness where we've hereunto subscribed our names. George Washington presiding, and deputy from Virginia. New Hampshire, John Langdon, Nicholas Gilman. Massachusetts, Nathaniel Gorman, Rufus King. Connecticut, William Simon Johnson, Roger Sherman. New York, Alexander Hamilton. New Jersey, William Livingston, David Greeley, William Patterson, Jonathan Dayton. Pennsylvania, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Mifflin, Robert Morris, George Clymer, Thomas Fitzsimmons, Jared Ingersoll, James Wilson, Governor Morris. Delaware, George Reed, Kenyon Bedford Jr., John Dickinson, Richard Bassett, Jacob Broome. Maryland, James McHenry, Daniel Carroll, St. Thomas Jennifer, Daniel Carroll. Virginia, John Blair, James Madison Jr. North Carolina, William Blount, Richard Doss Spate, Hugh Williamson. South Carolina, John Rutledge, Charles Pickney, Pierce Butler, and Georgia, William Few, Abraham Baldwin.